Guess we have to do more than the score this week. Think Steve-O's ever going to show up?
I don't know. He didn't take Tom Brady's suspension too well.
4 weeks. Oh, it's almost on 1 week. Rex Ryan, 16-0. Has scored a point without Tom Brady. It's time's almost coming. The suspension no good. Roger Goodell. The old town chimes, Tom. The old town chimes, Tom. The suspension's over. Yes, the suspension's over, Tom. Oh yes, Tom is free. Tom Brady's free. Yeah, Tom. Here we come, Super Bowl. We're going back to the Super Bowl. Oh, I'm Roger Goodell. I'm going to suspend Tom Brady with no evidence. Gah! 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 You like that, Roger? Yes! We are going back to the Super Bowl, baby! Yes! 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 Mwah! I love you, Tom! We're going back to the top! What I meant to say was synergy? Business ethics. Revenue? Profits.
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Telegraph Herald. More in the Score, presented by Dubuque Bank and Trust and Dubuque Auto Plaza. I am your host, Steve Ortman. This week I am back and I'm with Tim O'Neill. How's it going, Tim?
Pretty good, Steve. Welcome back.
Feels good to be back, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, just like my favorite buddy Tom Brady. I am back. Glorious. Glorious.
I hate to deflate your ego, but it's probably time that we start the show.
Good one. Yes, let's talk football. Not Tom Brady as much as I'd love to, but prep football in the area. Huge district matchup coming up this week. The one and only Tim O'Neill will be there as Western Dubuque visits Dubuque Senior. Very exciting, interesting matchup. Let's talk a little bit about these teams as they get ready for what's pretty much going to be a pretty big district showdown.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, every game in the season is really important as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. Only 3 games left in the season, and right now, Dubuque Senior's leading the pack there in Class 4A District 6. There is a logjam of 4 teams right behind them. As we know, only 2 teams make the playoffs. So Senior and Western Dubuque, as they fight to be one of those 2 teams, obviously very important game. Senior 2-0 in the district, Western Dubuque 1-1 in the district. And to be quite honest, 2 losses in the district, it's going to be really hard to make the playoffs. So for Western Dubuque, from this point on, it's pretty much must-win scenarios. Senior's got a little bit more leeway there, but obviously you never want to think that you can afford a loss or you can give up a loss or anything like that. So Senior's got to play to win and know that Western Dubuque's going to give it its best shot.
Sure. Now, when you go into this matchup, how big is momentum going to be? What do you think that's going to mean for these teams? Senior coming off an exciting, impressive city win. Western Dubuque kind of got upset last week.
Yeah, well, you look at the 2 teams coming in, and Western Dubuque prior to last week had 2 really big wins. They went on the road and beat Cedar Falls, and then they beat Pleasant Valley at home. And at that point, you know, Western Dubuque was looking like, in its first year in 4A, was the big favorite in the district. They go on the road last week and lose at North Scott. They take that first district loss, and suddenly, you know, things aren't quite so clear. The Bobcats aren't quite a clear-cut favorite. You know, it's hard to say exactly who is. And then you look at Dubuque Senior. Dubuque Senior opened district play against Davenport West, and you know, we've talked about it before. Davenport West is a team that struggled through some really tough times. They were winless, still winless this season, and Then last week, Dubuque Senior in a city rivalry game shut out Hempstead, and that was a huge win. And after Western Dubuque had beaten Pleasant Valley, Justin Penner, Western Dubuque coach, told me he thought that Hempstead was the district favorite. So for Senior to then go in and knock off the team that other coaches thought was the district favorite was huge for Senior, a huge momentum builder, huge confidence builder. And now, you know, both of these teams are coming into this game on different ends of the spectrum. You got to believe Western Dubuque is going to be really hungry to get back on the winning end of things, and obviously Senior is going to want to keep that winning streak going.
Yeah, it should be a fun matchup, and not the only exciting district matchup we have in the area this week. You go down to Class 2A, Cascade visits Dyersville-Beckman, a great, exciting, fun county rivalry between those two schools, and kind of both ends of the spectrum represented in this matchup as well. Cascade's been on a roll, win a couple games in a row, feeling good towards the top of the district. Beckman has played a couple of highly ranked opponents in a row here in LaPorte City Union and North Fayette Valley. Blazers desperate for a win to try to stay in playoff contention. Cascade obviously wants to keep that momentum rolling, so these teams always have a lot of excitement when they get together, so it should be a fun time out at Beckman High School on Friday night. We'll have all the coverage for you in the print edition on Saturday, as well as at telegraphherald.com, so be sure to check it out. Moving along now, we can't have an episode this week without talking a little bit of baseball. This Friday night, the Chicago Cubbies open up their playoff journey at home in prime time. I know, Tim, you're a lifelong Cubbies fan. What's the feeling been like for you this year as the Cubs have put together the best record in the major leagues?
Well, it's been pretty special, I'll tell you that. You know, my love for the Cubs was passed on by my grandfather, and unfortunately he never got a chance to see the Cubs win a World Series. I got a chance to see him play in the World Series back in 1945. Of course, he was coming back from World War II at that point, so I'm not sure how much he actually got to see or listen to that, but you know, it's just been really special anytime the Cubs make a nice run to the playoffs to think about the possibilities that maybe, you know, for the first time since 1908, the Cubs are going to be World Series champions. It's, you know, it's hope. Hope is always special, and you know, there have been a lot of years when hope as a Cubs fan was given up in June and May and April, and thankfully
March?
Some years, yes, in March. And you know, for the Cubs to put together the kind of year they put together is pretty special. They did it in the 2007, 2008. They had a couple of really nice back-to-back runs. Were the best team in the major leagues one of those years, but weren't able to win a single postseason game in either of those years. So I've learned in my 32 years that you can't count on anything. Nothing's a guarantee. So enjoy the season as it goes along, and enjoy the postseason as it goes along. And boy, if the Cubs happen to win it all, it's going to be one amazing party.
Yeah, it should be very exciting to follow this journey of the Cubs this postseason for all the fans around this area, because you want to talk about spectrums, at least around here in the Dubuque and the tri-state area. It seems like you're either on the end of the spectrum where you love the Cubbies, or you're on the end of the spectrum where you can't stand the Cubbies. So it's going to be fun to follow here in the tri-states. Whether you love them or hate them, you're probably going to be tuning in. So you look at the baseball, prep football, all the other volleyball action happening around the tri-states, we got you covered. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at THSportsFeed, or check out our Facebook page at Telegraph Herald Sports. We'll have all the action covered for you there.
Live stream.
And the live stream?
And the live
we got
stream.
live stream. Well, I assume that's going to be Senior Western Dubuque.
Senior Western Dubuque will be our live stream game Friday night. telegraphherald.com/live. 7:15 or so, depending on when the sophomore game ends up. So make sure you tune in. If you can't make it out to Dalzell Field, it's a great opportunity to watch what should be a really fantastic football game.
Yeah, so be sure to check that out, or live it live there at Dalzell Field. Relive it in the Telegraph Herald or on telegraphherald.com. That's going to do it for this episode of Telegraph Herald. More on the Score, presented by Dubuque Bank and Trust and Dubuque Auto Plaza. I'm your host, Steve Ortman. He's Tim O'Neill. And why don't we give it a little song of encouragement for the outro here today. Are you ready, Tim?
No.
A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Come on, Tim. Hey, Chicago! Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. Go Cubs, go! Come on, everybody! Go Cubs, go!